right then, let's go. Alycia here, out for a walk with my dog Reenie. Reenie's my little scraggly muppet. She's a terrier schnauzer mix, and she loves to roll in the grass. This is Sustainable Events Dog Walk, a short podcast from Positive+Impact Event Consulting, where you can get a quick nugget about sustainability for your events and event business while on a walk with Alycia and her dog Reenie. Sustainability is a big project, but we'll get there together, one little step at a time. Well, here we are in a new year of podcast for Sustainable Events Dog Walk, and I was recently reflecting a little bit on my why I talk about sustainability, what drives me. I was doing a little bit of business development stuff and personality profile and things like that, and I thought, oh, that's actually very relevant, so I'm going to share with you how we ended up here with me talking to you about sustainability, about events, about leadership, business development, all this stuff that I talk about, because sometimes it's helpful to know where people are coming from, and I found it interesting about myself, which is always a fun place to be. So first and foremost, I think hearing the way I talk about sustainability, it might be evident that I am and have always been a very natural-born optimist. You might be able to relate. In my teenage years, I made a conscious effort to try to not be and lean into the pessimism, but it really didn't last. I am so naturally optimistic. It just goes all the way down to my bones that the way to live through your experiences is to believe that you're going to survive and that there's a potential for everything to improve, which, of course, my favorite phrase since I was a little kid, better is better. Actually the word better has always been my favorite word. I've learned it in other languages. I just think it's such a great concept of feeling like we have a word for things improving. And then I was thinking about sustainability, and hopefully this is a good little exercise for you as well to think about, because when you're looking at the UN Sustainable Development Goals or the 4 pillars of sustainability and trying to pick an area to lend your energy to, finding something that you personally identify with and feel strongly about helps drive that energy level. So when it comes to sustainability, I've always called myself a Captain Planet millennial. We were in the age group of kids' TV talking about recycling and things like that. But my perspective and my message about sustainability being about sustaining humanity through time, what I realized this week when I was thinking about it is all the things I love in the world are the intersection of those two things, of the persistence of the ecosystem and environment. A big proportion of my hobbies are historically cultivated produce of humankind. We took things that we found in nature a millennia ago and cultivated them into things that are so diverse and beautiful and wonderful. I love tea. The thing that made me think of it is chocolate. I was thinking about the drive to save the environment and ecosystem around cacao, which is a pretty tight section of the world and pretty at risk. And there's been some spikes in cacao prices for fine chocolates and things like that because of it. I oftentimes don't think of myself as particularly driven on the human front, which is just sort of a silly lie I tell myself. But when it comes down to it, the things that I love exist because of human cultivation, because they're not the natural occurring product of the planet. Tea, coffee, chocolate, spirits are all grown resources that are cultivated into a human product. And then some of my other hobbies are things like travel, to see the diversity of human history and the different parts of the globe. And all these things that I love, the food and spirits and wine and all those things, their cultivated history, psychology, it's all things that I, consume in my own time, podcasts on. Okay, my favorite podcast, probably number one all the time, is called Gastropod. It is about the intersection of science and history of food. It's like everything I love all the time. But you get the idea that this is, once you take a second to reflect on what the intersection of humanity and the environment is, how the economy plays into human history, all of the different pillars of humans individually and together make up this sustainability model. And those are all things that I'm super interested in. So it all makes sense that this is where I find myself. And I wonder for you, what piques your interest as I go through? Are you very business minded and the economy and the human experience are big to you? Do you do events because of the dynamics of people gathering or celebrating? What things do you look into on your own time? What art forms do you love? When the seasons change, what sort of activities draw you in? All of these things, it's so easy to tie any topic into sustainability when it includes all of the environmental concerns of our world, all of the social concerns of our world and our communities, the personal health. Bye-bye, Border Collie. Is it dogs? Do you love dogs? Because those were definitely cultivated by humans. And I think I've talked before on the podcast about how there's an amazing concept in psychology because of how our brains work that we cannot understand anything without having a word for it. Our brains are wired on linguistics. We need to name things to be able to conceptualize them in order to learn anything about them, in order to talk about them, in order to perceive them. So if your language doesn't differentiate the color orange between the yellow and red spectrum, you won't find things to be orange. You will experience them as dark yellow or light red, but the concept will never occur to you because you don't have a word for it. And that persists through emotions and physical experiences and all of those philosophical worlds. And so from that perspective, all human pursuits exist because we invented them, we named them. And that's why environmentalism didn't exist until there was a name for it, and ecology didn't exist until there was a name for it. Our understanding of the world is reliant on linguistics. So anyway, this is a long spiraling road into all the things that interest me, but I hope you can take a kernel of this to think about what interests you in the world and how making sustainable choices positively influences those things and can keep your interest level and your energy level up and keep you doing things that you care about, and by coincidence, those things being positive impact on sustainability. So welcome to my second year of Sustainable Events Dog Walk. I would love to hear from you how I could make this podcast more helpful to you and answer the questions that you have or the concerns or reflect on things that you think about more. I may be messing with the format a little bit. We'll see how I'm feeling. I'm going to have some life changes that I'm choosing to keep sustainability as my primary focus to maintain continuity with as I have these life changes rather than other parts of my other businesses. That's the thing I want to make sure to stay consistent on. So hopefully my plans all come to fruition, and thanks for joining me this far, and I'll catch you next week for more ideas, inspiration, referrals, recommendation, philosophy, and education on sustainability in events. Thanks for joining me on Sustainable Events Dog Walk. I'm Alycia Drewby, founder of Positive+Impact Event Consulting, and I want to help you integrate sustainability into your event business so you're ready to make every event you work on more sustainable. See you next time.